acceleration. And that's the first step towards making them AI-enabled. Once these all are digitized, we come to the software integration part, which is the digitalization, taking it to digital twins and a lot of predictive maintenance algorithms that can be enabled. Following which you enable a two-way data sharing, which makes them AI and machine learning enabled. With this particular three-step process, that's how we build an entire ecosystem to enable a digital public infrastructure moment for the electricity sector. Each country on the four archetypes has to go through the digital readiness ladder. And what we are endeavoring in this particular session today is to take you through examples and use cases that exist in each of these layers, right from the bottom one on digitization and collection of data, and digitalization and integrating data, and then AI-enabled systems acting on data. And we have case studies from a variety of world, and I'm delighted to have a stellar panel with us to take you through all of this today. Of course, the benefits to the utilities are immense, right from optimization and efficiency to job creation to actually looking at a very, very positive co-benefit on emissions that exist. So with that particular context, I will leave you with these three questions, but let me hand it over to my Director General, Mr. Ashish Khanna, to take us forward on this. So over to you.
Thank you, Karan. First of all, I'd like to begin by acknowledging and thanking the Brazilian COP presidency for bringing it to the action agenda. Just in the spirit of what President Lula and COP30 presidency has been talking, it's time for implementation and action. And we believe that we must today have a panel which is all about use cases and talking about not only energy for AI, which is data centers and others, but actually how can AI help energy sector. I would like to begin before I introduce the panel, acknowledging His Excellency Leonpo Gem Sharing, Minister of Energy and Natural Resources for Bhutan. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for coming. And for those of you who might know Bhutan as a country of gross happiness index, which is great, it is also a country that has 100% renewable energy, and with a partnership has just unveiled a 5,000 megawatt plant for solar. And needless to say, they're also stalwarts on digitization by having their new city completely based on AI. So we thought it would be best to have a short keynote address by His Excellency Leonpo Gem Sharing. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think little delayed because of the confusion between the driver and the route. So that's why definitely a person from a Himalaya will have a difficulty in the train. So that's why. So thank you very much. First and foremost, I thank DGISA for giving me this opportunity to come over, share a few words with you all. So ISA is not a new subject to me. We have been together. Now ISA in Bhutan is deep-rooted with DG here. So recently we have also gone together to the extent that we have even inaugurated a Star-C program in Bhutan. So that's a big achievement that we have done together. So all in all, I think just to mention about Bhutan, yes, exactly as shared by DG. So Bhutan, though it's a small country, but then best known for gross national happiness. So we believe even we don't have anything, but then we are happy. So that's it. The index is very clear that we are happy. And the happiness comes also that we are rich into hydropower and then renewable energies. So recently we have a very bold set, myself, Minister for Energy and Natural Resources. So thereby forests, mines, then environment. So today, actually, I am here mainly as an environment minister, so attending the COP30. But however, very happy that I got the opportunity to sit with Solar Alliance. So that's the happiest part. And Bhutan, we have a renewable energy roadmap of 2040, whereby we have planned for 25,000 megawatts, of which 20,000 hydro, 5,000 solar. So of which the alliances with which we are having with ISA is right in time, whereby we are looking forward for generation of 5,000 megawatt solar power, and also setting up that Star Seed program in Bhutan. So that's why I think this is right in the time where we have got to act. So today, learning about that yes, this is the right time that Solar Alliance has come forward for such a technology. I think 5,000 megawatts of solar development in Bhutan is, when we look, it's not a tough job, but then we have a difficulty, shortage of manpower, shortage of everything. Yes. So while I say that we are gross national happiness country, but still happiness has always shortage of lots of resources. So that's why that is very much being looked into. I think Bhutan, we have become a partner to Solar Alliance ISA in 2023. So with which lots of developments like pump storage, then cold storage, then lots of solar powered things have been, and then training of the people. So lots of things are happening. On top of that one, the very biggest part is the Star Seed program. Recently, the ambassador of France with Director General, myself, so we were in a position to inaugurate that one. So that was a big success itself. So that's in one of the science and technology universities. So we have set there. So that's a very good setup that we are having together. And then on top of that one, with today's program that we are having, so I think this will really add up to the 5,000 megawatt program that we are keeping. So we look forward for definitely the required support from ISA, and definitely with the former DG as well as the present DG now directly getting into Bhutan's power system, and thereby the global thought of 25,000 megawatts by 2040. Why we kept that one is also now. Till recent years, we never thought of something called a big disease like global warming, climate changes. So that's why we have been just depending on hydropower only. But with these things coming up, so we have diverted into solar power also. So we have a good solar reserve also, but then immediately we tagged into 5,000 megawatts. So this, I think, by 2040, so why we have tagged 2040? Because within that one, if we are in a position to come up with 25,000 megawatts, by which we will be in a position to be self-sufficient within ourselves as well as supply. And then the good part is, I think most of you, the dignitaries over here, must be also thinking that such a small country, 25,000 megawatts, where to do, what to do with that one. We have a very good alliance with Government of India, whereby Government of India requires a clean energy, and we have that one. And then sometimes during this time, particularly during the winter time, when we have a shortage of power, we get solar power from India. So that's why these are two things which are working very nicely. And then on top of that one, the requirement of Royal Government of Bhutan and under the leadership of our king, who said that Bhutan looks for a peace, prosperity and happiness only, not much of distractions. So in this regard, recently, for your kind information, that Bhutan has conducted a global peace prayer. So that is, we see that lots of wars, lots of problems all over the world. So in this regard, His Majesty planned in a way that, okay, we should do something. So all the religious heads from all over the globe came to Bhutan, and then within a short period of time, so we conducted all these prayers by all the religious leaders from all over the country, all over the group from the Pandits from India, and then Buddhist monks from Myanmar, Thailand, then Singapore, then even to the Europe and everything. So all of them came over. We conduct 3 days, 10 days program on global peace prayer. So that is all set to do for the global only. So in this regard, while such sort of things are being conducted through GNH system also, we look forward for the happiness. So that is the ultimate point. So in this regard, just a simple dot. His Majesty the King said that gross national happiness is happiness. So when when lots of professors and then researchers said that without the domestic product, what is the happiness? So the answer is very simple. In a one-line thing, he said that happiness on the face of every Bhutanese is my domestic product. So that's the thing. So today we are very happy, and definitely with the ISA supporting Bhutan achieving 5,000 megawatt, will be more than happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. So we have not only the AI technology, but the prayers from the global also with us in the session. So that's really great. Let's dive deep into the panel. I have a very distinguished panel. We have, let me just introduce, Bruna Sequeira, General Coordinator of the Action Agenda for the COP30, and the person who has really led us for putting this there. Thank you once again, Bruna. We have Mr. Wu Chongum, CEO of Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet, which is a very close and integral partner for ISA, that has been leading a lot of global programs themselves. We have Mr. I'm just going in the order I have, Mayank Kumar, who is the CEO of Edge Industries, a startup. We have Mr. Abhishek Ranjan, CEO of Delhi utility called BSES Rajdhani Power. We have Mr. Lokesh Chandra, who is the CEO of Maharashtra State Electricity Distribution Company, the largest distribution utility of almost 30 gigawatts in India. We have Ms. Patricia Ellen. She is a partner and head of Brazil office Systemic. We will be joined by Ms. Noel O'Brien, who is the ADB Director of Climate Change. But let's start away with Bruna. Bruna, you have been really trying hard to put AI and digitization as part of the climate action agenda. Tell us a little bit from a COP30 presidency, what is the transformational opportunity you see in putting AI and digitization with the climate?
Hello. Well, good afternoon. I hope Belém is treating all of you very well. It is really a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for the International Solar Alliance for hosting this, for attending to our call in this COP of implementation. And it's great to be with you, Minister, as well. So thank you very much for your presence here. I think for this COP, we have been saying that we have 3 key objectives, and repeating this from Ambassador André, from Renatoni, that we want to protect multilateralism, accelerate implementation, and connect climate to people's real lives. And really what we wanted to do is there's a whole space of the negotiations where the discussions are ongoing about the corner of the text of what are we going to be able to do that has to be agreed between 198 countries. But if we are to accelerate implementation, we need the science coming from that part of the process, but we can do a lot that doesn't depend on 198 countries agreeing on something to do. And this is what we wanted to show with the action agenda, the space of the voluntary action, where we can come together and can accelerate. What we have done is basically trying to translate what the negotiators have already agreed to do, which is based on the global stock take that gives us a picture of how we are on implementation of the Paris Agreement, and translate that into 6 axes of action. And we are seeing this in physical form in this space. So if you see, each room has a different name. That is the name of one of these axes. We are in the energy, industry, and transport room. But there's one on forest, there's one on agriculture, there's one on cities, there's one on human and social development, which is crucial, and there's a cross-cutting one on finance, technology, and capacity building. So what we understood is that we cannot talk about these things at a very high level. We need to be very specific. The solutions that already exist across many different parts of the world, and especially coming from the global south, we need to give a lot of visibility to that. They're already working on the ground. How can we accelerate? And we think that there's the idea of having those 5 vertical axes, but one that is cross-cutting below is because finance, technology, and capacity building can accelerate all of the solutions in all of the sectors that we have in the economy. But we need to be specific, exactly as we're doing here. We're talking about digital transformation for goods, for energy, for how we accelerate solar. And maybe that is the point, right? How can we enable access to that? How can we be inspired by the global south? And how can we accelerate? So I wanted to maybe do 2 appreciations to you. One is because when we put together this space, we had a lot of initiatives that are being a part of these groups to implement that are coming from the global north. Most of them are coming from the global north. And the International Solar Alliance is a beautiful example of an initiative that is born in the global south, that is looking at the realities and the necessities of our countries. And so that's something that we really want to highlight, that we are the drivers of this change. And the second thing is that you're showing us also a positive tipping point that has already been achieved and that we can only accelerate. So we've been talking about this. If we're accelerating implementation, what are those positive tipping points that we can look at different technologies, different areas of the economy, where we have the opportunity to take it to scale in a way that doesn't depend anymore on grants and so on. And solar has done that. And so what we're looking here is how do we further integrate that into grids, which I have learned this week, that there's no transition without transmission, was the slogan that we saw from the friends in UNESA, the Utilities Alliance. And we really hope that we can elevate what you're doing here and integrate with the different partners that can support and work together to accelerate. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bruno. I think, if I may add to your point, the solar with transmission and storage makes AI and digitization even more important. Thankfully, we have a lot of CEOs here who are going to tell us about use cases of what are the products that the global south can really learn from and absorb. I'm going to first start with Mr. Lokesh Chandra, who's the CEO of Maharashtra Electricity Distribution Company. Perhaps we can start with a short video, and then I will pose the question with Mr. Lokesh Chandra. Can the video be put on, please?
India ranks as the world's 3rd largest
megawatt of distributed renewable energy on agriculture, a big solar rooftop program. How have you managed the how part? Because that's a use case. And please, since we're talking about AI enablement, tell us a little bit of how digitization has really helped you in that process.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share our success story.
In fact, when we started this agriculture federation program, which we have just shown the small video, where we are shifting the agriculture load, which is to the tune of 30% of our total energy demand in Maharashtra. On one hand, we are the most industrialized state, and on the other hand, we have the highest agriculture load in the country. So we have taken a decision that we have to shift this agriculture load on the solar. And as a part of that, this program which we are implementing, the district renewable energy program, which is of 16 gigawatt. Now this 16 gigawatt will be through smaller solar parks, which we are constructing near the substations. And this is going to happen not in years, in next few months. By December 2026, we will be completing all the projects. We have already completed 3 gigawatt of these projects. Now, how that is more important, because most of the time we talk about the technology interventions or AI-related issues, but most important thing is that first we have to look at the program and policies. Until as we streamline the processes, until as we do the business re-engineering or we do the process re-engineering, we will not get the actual outcome of the program. In this program, which we have the distributed renewable energy program, we were struggling for almost 7-8 years to make it happen. Then we realized there are gaps in the process, and one most important part, we realized there is a lot of permissions and NOCs which are required for implementation of these smaller scale projects, which we are finding but time taking and not making it happen. So as a part of business process review, we looked at the permissions required, processes required, and to share with all of you that instead of 18 permissions which we required initially, we brought down it to 3. That helped us actually faster implementation of the program, and we made all the data available to the bidders or developers upfront. We used IT, basically we created a dedicated portal, we put all the data related to this program, and we also put all the permissions which are upfront available, so the developers are knowing upfront. So this was one important message which I would like to share with all of you, because digitalization or algorithm, writing the algorithm is second part. But first you have to put your house in order to ensure that implementation of any program happens in time limits which you prescribe. Second part is the use of IT, AI and digitalization for ensuring that once these projects are in place, how to ensure that such a huge quantum of renewable energy which we are injecting in the grid, not making the grid unstable. For that, in fact, digital infrastructure is required, no doubt, because you have to have this infrastructure in place, and at the same time you have to have AI-driven operation of the grid, because when in the real time we are changing the quantum of energy which is injected in the grid should be self-healing and optimizing conditions. For this, in fact, digital twin is one of the solutions, because when we are talking about more and more renewable energy, especially the solar, to make it use for 24/7, you have to store the energy when it is abundantly available during the solar hours, so that you can utilize during the non-solar hours. And for that, actual prediction of the generation, load demand forecasting is also equally important. And for that, actually, again, the AI and ML tools becomes helpful, because you can predict the load demand and actual generation in real time. At the same time, when you are also having the advanced metering infrastructure, you are putting smart meters, you are getting a lot of data. Now, to analyze this data in real time and then using the loss reduction tools or predicting the actual demand in the real time, which is required for your growth to be predicted accurately, because when you are doing the resource adequacy planning, you have to have your growth projections for next at least 8 to 10 years in real 15-minute block period times. So for that, all these tools are very, very important, but most important is that your grid has to be digitalized. For that, all the data and tools has to be in place. Second thing is also important that when you are doing the integration, the AI is very, very important for real integration because you will also need the storage, quantum storage to be defined. Otherwise, if you are not having the actual real-time data analysis, it may put it in a situation where you are having excess capacity you are putting for the storage and then it will become an extra cost. So cost optimization when you are designing the resource adequacy planning and accordingly putting the storage facilities is also equally important. And third and most important is the citizen-centric services which you are providing. At the end of the day, as a utility, you have to take care of your consumers, may it be the farmers, may it be the industrialists, may it be the smaller businessmen or big data centers. So to provide the information real time about the processes, again, the simplification of the process is also important here because the first step is start when any consumer is coming to you for the new connection. Now here also we have done the business process reviewing. Initially we used to call for almost 20 to 25 documents for anybody to get the new connection, which we have reduced to only 2 documents. You have to have the ownership and your identification proof. So this whole process has helped us in providing citizen-centric services with using AI and ML-related tools to the benefit of consumers because they are getting not reliable, adequate and quality power, but also getting sustainable power, which is also affordable.
Thank you so much, Lokesh. I think we're running a little behind, so I will request the next set of speakers to talk about for 4 minutes. I'm going to actually go to Wuchong next. And Wuchong, GIAP has actually been leading a lot of global work, including the first pilot in India on Duet, which has largely been a GIAP initiative. I think it should be working.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes. So, Wuchong, tell us a little bit from GIAP perspective and also a very good partnership. How do you see country-level platforms on AI and digitization going? And what are the trends you are seeing on use cases? Because we are really talking about let's go from theory of AI to actually real use cases.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this panel. There are many reasons why I'm very happy to be here. First is because I'm sitting next to my former colleague from the Asian Development Bank. And, you know, ADB and the World Bank, your old house, will play a key role in the future to scale. As the second reason I'm happy is because my first career was in computer programming. And for some of you maybe old enough to know COBOL, Pascal, and those things, to be honest, you know, the new technology I can't understand. But the interesting thing is when I first joined the ADB and transitioned from computer science to general development, I was hiding the fact that I had an IT background because people did not realize whether there's any relevance between IT and energy and development. But finally now I feel like I can be truthful about my background, where I do have an IT background, so I can actually credibly at least talk about the importance of digital. Now, you know, you've been in development space for many years, all of us. I think collectively we have like 1,000 years together. I think we've been doing really well from our own perspectives, but you know, they're still talking about about billion people, no access to electricity, you know, 1.5 degree targets, you know, struggling. So keep doing the same thing over and over again. You know, as Einstein said, you know, doing same thing and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So we do need to adopt new ideas. And what better technology than AI to really harness? Now, the only problem is, although people do use AI in many things you do, like ChatGPT, but when it comes to issues like energy, it's not that intuitive on how it's going to work and whether is it too risky. So the key thing is that we have to establish the country-level platform to develop something that works. And I mean, the technological aspect of it, I think many people can talk about it, but from our side, what we did was we identified the local solution because, this idea of DUET, it's the digitalization of utility for energy transition. You do know how to name things like DUET. Is we were inspired by a similar technology solution that's developed in a developed country. The problem is, as you mentioned, that assumed already digitized grid, and also it's too expensive. So what better place in India and state of Rajasthan where we partner with the local innovators to develop something that's homegrown and that's fit for purpose. Now, when we do that, people in some places, again, don't feel confident it's not really going to work. So our job is to take a chance on the local solutions and develop something that works and demonstrate in a relatively small scale and then let it grow in the rest of the country, rest of Asia, rest of the world. And I know because of the DUET initiative, there are people in Nigeria, for example, similar kind of situation, they're developing similar solutions, and hopefully in Latin America also. So you want to scale. Now for that to happen, once we establish the working solution that can be demonstrated, then the ADB, the World Bank, can come in because, as I mentioned earlier, these organizations have billions of dollars, $100 billion together, but they are AAA organizations, meaning they're risk averse. So they will need some proof point that which they can rely on so that they feel safe, that they can maintain the AAA status and still deploy money that's needed so that we can change the world. So let me stop here and congratulations for this wonderful panel.
Thank you so much, Wuchong. So I'm going to Abhishek now. Abhishek, Lokesh has talked about the importance of before you rush into technology, put your whole house in order, especially on business processes. And great example of approvals coming from 18 to 3. I heard it across all the countries. We also heard about having the digital tool as a necessity to manage millions of small generators and others. And now Wuchong is telling us about the products must be standardized while allowing for local adaptation. You're a CEO of a Delhi-based company, which is largely urban, majority private sector owned. Please take us a use cases of that urban setting of how you have managed this journey on using AI and digital. Again, emphasizing on the how and the standardization of the product, because all of us are keen to hear, is the product standardizable to be used everywhere?
Thank you, Ashish, and IAC as well as Corp Presidency for having me here. So, Delhi utility, when we talk about, we came into existence about 2 decades ago when the government of Delhi decided to privatize the distribution, unbundled generation, transmission and distribution. Those were the days when the losses were as high as say 56 to 60%. Today we are at 6 and ready to go below 5 as well in the next 2 years. The level of customer excellence and the customer expectation, because as we know, the utilities in India are expected to do 3 functions. One is the management of the network, augment it and operate it, maintain it. Second is about arranging for the power as well. So you have to arrange for the power whether embedded within or from outside. And third is the customer focus. It gives new connections, augmentation, new services, etc. Now, power purchase forms about 80% of the cost of any utility in India, which is humongous. And therefore, we started with the first use case, which is now fairly mature, of applicability of AI in demand forecasting. And this is essential for a utility like Delhi, where 20 to 25% of exposure of power purchase is from spot markets, which is power exchanges. It's very volatile. We reduced the MEAP, which is mean absolute percentage error, from say about 15% about 8 years ago now to 2%. And going, integrating not only top-down demand forecasting, but now we are using AI for bottoms-up 11 kV feeder and above demand forecasting.
while integrating weather forecasting models as well, because Delhi is very susceptible to weather vagaries, especially in the month of June and July in monsoon. The load can easily fall by 50% on a single hot afternoon when you have sudden thunder showers. And therefore, a lot of wastage of power can happen. And therefore, weather forecasting and modeling is very, very important. Coming to the customer side of it, when we talk about giving a connection, new connection, the regulation mandates 7 days. We are now at 3 days, ready to go to 24 hours. When I say 24 hours, if today the application has been submitted, the meter has to be hung at the premises while laying the last mile line also. It's very different from a cellular connection, right? So there is no last mile line going on, the jumpers and all. So that can't be done unless until you have a very mature digital twin solution, where the digital twin of your last mile from the distribution transformer up to the customer premises, intervening your DT low voltage cables, poles, feeder pillars, everything getting digitized. You have complete visibility and superimposed on your GIS map. And that's what we are doing now. And this is also going to be showcased as a India Energy Stack, which is Government of India's very flagship program now, to how to drive data-driven digital transformation of utilities. So this is also again a very proven solution with very mature partners, startups. Mayank is also here. And the idea is to have real-time visibility of the grid. So new connection is one use case. Another is about the planning. Third is about running the load pool in the real time and therefore make operational decisions. Fifth would be giving any new connection, maybe a new EV connection or a say solar rooftop solar connection. Last but not the least, flexibility becomes very, very important in integrating new DRE or even right now, for example, the demand is varying as well as the supply side is varying. Very proud to state our portfolio, long-term portfolio is already 50% plus in terms of renewable, and I am not including large hydro. If I include large hydro in our PPAs, that will be about 60%. Energy terms it is low, as we know, because the capacity utilization factor of wind and solar is low, and therefore in capacity terms it is already at 50% now. So managing such huge amount of VRE demands reserves, primary, secondary and tertiary reserves. They are required because we are also running sub-LDC, which is load dispatch centers. So assessing the same requires a lot of modeling, AI-based modeling, and then deploying the battery storage at the bottom of the voltage pyramid is providing the maximum relief. That's what we have done in the last 4-5 years. Battery storage at distribution transformer low voltage, and recently at 11 kV, 20 megawatt and 40 megawatt hour, the Honorable Commission, the regulators have been kind enough to recognize this, and we are happy to see more such plants have already been given concurrence very recently. So to give you an idea, about 100 megawatt hour more such distributed bids are going to come in a matter of next 10 to 12 months. Last but not the least, within Delhi the generation is very, very far and few. We have only waste to energy plants. We are coming up now with solar plus battery energy storage within the city of Delhi in western part of the Delhi, which is agri-PV, which is raised solar panels and battery storage at the individual points. And this is going to take care of daytime solar, which is going to be absorbed in the battery, and the night peak load, especially in the AC cooling load, is to be met from the battery therein, and therefore optimizing on the transmission charges for the utility. So these are some of the use cases, and there are many more because now we are focusing more towards customer excellence and consumer-driven utility.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. There's so much of wealth of issues that you talked about, more in terms of, as you have agri-PV, solar rooftop, solar storage, the importance of managing real-time operations, connections, flexibility, demand forecasting. Let me go to Patricia. Patricia, you are also a unique perspective of having been a policymaker in Sao Paulo and now with Systemic as a partner. You heard a lot of CEOs of companies talking about AI integration in terms of real use cases. From where you see, what are the real challenges on having data and institutional architecture being taken across countries?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. and also a pleasure to see the mobilization that ICE is doing. I also would like to say thank you to Bruno, who's been beautifully leading us for the action agenda. Now, I've been having the privilege also to support the COP presence in the action agenda on a few topics. And I approve that the soap operas both from India and Brazil don't tell the truth when they say they really speak more than men because I'll be shorter, so that we can also try to listen to my friend here, Patricia, with her view. But super quickly, the core narrative here is very simple. We need technology, we need to unite energy and digital. We also need to work on green skills. And as many of you said, start from the development of the economic value chains. So we have this combination between supply and demand. We have global value chains that need the energy supply, and we have local supply, especially the emerging economies, that could become the powerhouse to the world. But for that to not happen, each one of the countries that we are working on, we need to change a little bit the development approach. Usually, with my previous hat as a Secretary of Economic Development, it's very natural that we start working in the local demand, but we are talking about global demand in the specific value chains that are very energy intensive. So we need to map the global demand and combine with the local supply of energy. In the case of Brazil, Brazil can lead the next wave of clean growth by combining its world-class solar potential with AI-enabled digitally managed grids. But then for that to happen, we need to move fast in this combination between green and digital skills, closing a 31% skill gap that we already have now, and that is still growing. Also, in terms of supply, I mentioned this, but very few people know, Brazil is number 3 in energy source in solar capacity already in Brazil. We have 40 gigawatts of solar capacity installed, but we have a potential to go up to 30 terawatts. But for that to happen, this would mean that Brazil could supply the energy for Brazil, Mercosur, and export clean energy derivatives. But that will not happen without AI-enabled digital and flexible grids. We have an integrated energy grid, but we don't have yet digital twins as was described here in the scale that we need, and also the integrated databases that we need. Today, we have more than 50 suppliers and also transmission lines, which makes it very hard for us to integrate this. To finalize and combine also global to local, today, if what we're talking here becomes a reality, we're talking about the opportunity to create jobs and income generation opportunities for more than 30 million people, because we need new skills, so 10 million new people employed globally and 20 million reskilled, only in solar and in the energy ecosystem that we're discussing in this room. If we add to that bioenergy and all the other ecosystems, we're talking about almost 500 billion new jobs in emerging economies. So I close saying that this discussion is not only a discussion on energy, it's not only a technical discussion to unite the energy discussion with the digital discussion, but it's also a green growth and a people discussion. Maybe I would say the only chance that the emerging economies have to really ignite growth in a way that also includes our people.
Thank you. Thank you so much for putting the agenda on jobs, customer service, and green growth. And thank you for sticking to the time. Mayank, you have only 2 minutes now because I have to ask Noel to actually be the last person. Mayank, you're a startup entrepreneur. You're doing Jaipur and a little bit. Tell us, from a startup entrepreneur trying to give cutting-edge AI solutions, what is your journey and what is your biggest challenge right now?
Hello. Yeah. So we're building a product called Edge Electra, which is an AI-powered operating system for power utility companies. And the way we position it is that the power utility companies and DISCOMs have multiple IT solutions. They have a separate IT solution for, let's say, solar metering. They have a separate IT solution for DT, transformer metering. They have a separate IT solution for ERP products. And if you go on counting it, many DISCOMs have 10, 15, up to 20 different IT solutions taking care of different parts of running a DISCOM or running a power utility company. The problem with that is that a lot of data is isolated across different IT solutions. It becomes very difficult to make decision support by aggregating these data points, right? What we are specializing in doing is integrating these different sources and creating an AI layer on top of it, which acts like a specialized custom GPT. Or like, I'm sure all of us have used Chat GPT by now. It is like a personal assistant. It answers any and all questions for us. Similarly, DISCOM officials or power utility officials can ask any or all questions because of the integration of all their IT solutions with an AI assistant on top of it. What ends up happening is that the kinds of analytics, decision support, which used to take days, weeks, and sometimes months to get to, can happen in minutes or seconds now. That is one of our biggest learnings while working with multiple power utility companies in India, that it is empowering every person on every hierarchy of the DISCOM to just become superhuman in their jobs.
Great. So, Mayank, you are actually selling the productivity side of making better decisions and having. Now, which is my past and Muchong's past as well, tell us a little bit about from an ADB side. When you see a lot of these AI solutions and others, what is your view of their financing and their IT architecture?
No, thank you, and thank you for involving ADB in this discussion. And I'm here on behalf of the energy colleagues in this conversation. I would just to note where ADB is working Asia from Turkey through to the Pacific. The demands on power will be more than 300% current demands by 2040 or so. ADB is heavily investing in grid. We've just committed $10 billion towards the ASEAN power grid. So the digital and AI dimensions are enormous. So just I think that there are 4 ways that we need to look at it. We have a really legacy energy infrastructure that has to be upgraded for all the digital and AI solutions to work. As with everything, there's a huge regulatory aspect, so all of the policy space, which is currently not matching the speed and the complexity of how AI is developing. And so we have to ensure that our systems are recalibrated. We need new rules, we need new standards, and we need oversight on all of those. So that's a huge area of work. Obviously, the financial requirements are enormous for all of this, and we're going to require a huge blend of instruments to deliver on the demands. And with everything, the capacity aspect, I think, I think within all of this, how do we get kind of cohesion so we're learning from when we develop past systems, so we're not always competing, and so we start to get synergy in the systems as they evolve quite quickly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Noel. So I think we started late, but we are just 3 minutes over. Maybe we can end. I would say one thing, Bruno, because I would like this as a summary. My own sense is there are enormous wealth of use cases here, whether it is Brazil, India, DATE, and financing. And this is combining a lot of global knowledge, but a lot of local adaptation, because business process reengineering, IT, jobs, which are very local. I personally feel this is a great area for large global south leaders like Brazil and India to come together and then offer a range of services that we can come together and take global south along. It would be wonderful to see what would be the next step or doing something like that.
Oh, thank you so much for this. It's really exciting to see this in real life, right? The CEOs and the different perspectives and the policymakers who can do the regulations, and I think that's exactly their spirit. So I think 2 ways. One, we have created this granary of solutions to give visibility to these case studies. So we would invite you to submit some of what's happening already to this granary. That's something that we've been using as inspirations, token of inspirations. And we've had a very nice work done by our own envoy to Southeast Asia, Arunabe. He presented here at this COP the growing area of solutions from Southeast Asia, focusing a lot on public policies, but that was a very nice contribution. But the most important, maybe, invitation that I would make is we are, several of the initiatives that have been involved in the action agenda this year have been working together on plans to accelerate solutions. So looking at different pieces of the solutions, is it green digital action, or we have some on grids and storage. There are in total now 114 plans to accelerate solutions across all of the axes of the action agenda. And the logic of that is that you need different initiatives that have different capacities and expertises to be able to do that work, and consistently, right? So it's not only 1 year, but this has the timeline to 2028, which is when we have the next global stock take. So I would invite you to maybe look at the plans that we have on the table now, and look at when is it useful to maybe engage and bring some of this expertise into these plans so that it has a bit of a global South perspective, or is it about bringing up a new plan that we need to do from our perspective? So that would be my invitation on the next steps as we move into the presidency year.
Thank you. A big round of applause to all our CEOs. Thank you for your time, and from International Solar Alliance, on behalf of everyone, we are committed to taking this AI-enabled grids and digital distribution cases forward. Thank you once again.